Welcome to Your Success Podcast. We give you actionable insight and stories behind real-life success wherever you go. Here are your hosts, Angelos and Mo.
Welcome to Your Success Podcast. I'm Angelos.
And I'm Mo.
And today we are excited to be here to talk about determination, perseverance, patience, and gratitude as part of our deep dive series about Your Success book, which has been released on Monday, the 24th of September on Amazon and Kindle and all the other things.
Angus, how would people find out about that if they would be interested? I mean, if they like the podcast's free, right?
Podcast is bloody free.
It's free for people. So if they wanted to find out some more information.
If they want to find, that's a very good question, by the way, Mo. They just need to go to tiny.cc/yourbook,
okay,
and they'll be able to register their details for access to exclusive content, behind the scenes information, and also discounts on launch day.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, so
we talk about determination, perseverance, patience, gratitude, and perspective quite a lot in the book, and we're just going to pick out a few topics to talk about in today's podcast.
Yep.
So the first thing, I suppose, is the importance of persevering and being determined through struggles, because whatever you're doing, whatever it is you want to do, if you're in sports, if you're in business, if you're raising a family, whatever you're doing, you're going to come across problems, right? And it's your ability to overcome those and just carry on and keep going that is what will set you apart.
Yeah, so for a sportsman, it could be the struggle of the masses of competition out there to be number one on the in the race or whatever it may be, and then you're crippled by an injury.
Yeah.
You've done your back in, and it takes a year or two to overcome these kind of serious injuries, and it's just having that perseverance to struggle through the pain, the recovery, and then get back to where you were before. It takes a lot of effort, sacrifice to get there.
And one thing we talk about in the book is it's easier to do that the stronger your why is, and the stronger the reason that you're doing something is.
Yeah, so the first couple of chapters are all about your why, your vision, why you're doing this, and not necessarily doing it for the reasons that you think that you're doing it. So it could be because you've inherited society's or your parents' vision of what you should be. So shedding that and really deep diving, and the book allows you to do that, and it gives you the tools to do that, to really find out what is really important to you. Because ultimately, if you do come across problems, and you will, then you need to be able to make sure that you've got that determination within you to keep going. And a lot of the time we do things for fickle reasons, and it's not true to our values and why we're doing things. So if you come across a really bad problem, rather than just giving up and say, forget it, it's not for me, you just got to keep going, because deep down within you is your core reason for doing this is.
And absolutely. And part of, in the book, we talk about the difference between, one big major life event happening that really throws you off versus lots of little I think we call them the attack of the tiny mosquitoes, in that if you get bitten by one or two, it's just a bit of an irritation, but if you get bitten by loads and loads over the course of a few days, it becomes a real problem for you.
And that's a great analogy, whoever wrote that, about business life, because you will come across loads and loads of little problems, and it's these little problems that compound to become major problems, which can effectively cripple you. I
think both can be as bad as each other, right? One big event could really throw you off, but then the little ones, because they happen every day, or because they compound on top of each other, maybe. And there's some examples in the book. They can be just as damaging as one big event. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's just managing that and just dealing with it head on, as opposed to burying your head in the sand.
Yeah.
Because that does not help anything at any point.
Definitely. And so we've got burn your boats written here. What does that mean?
So burning your boats is what Alexander the Great, the ancient Greek king that went on to conquer all the way from Greece right up to India, when he landed in Persia, because he wanted to take on this massive empire, he was vastly outnumbered, massively outnumbered. And he made a clear statement to his generals and his soldiers, I'm going to burn our boats now. That's it. literally they cannot return back home. They have to fight their way forward, otherwise they will die. So it's a very strong statement, and it's been recycled over the years, but effectively that is where the origin of that statement comes from. And it's very important in terms of what you're doing. How are you going to achieve your vision of success? Are you just going to try and maybe I'm going to give this a go next week, or are you dead set? Are you absolutely determined? Are you going
committed?
to burn your,
Are you committed? Yeah.
Or are you just interested?
Yeah. Absolutely. It's interesting, isn't it? Because that's one part of it, but then the other part is if you quit your job and you go and do something you really want to do, you might burn your boats, as in you don't want the option to go back, but you don't want to burn your bridges.
Yes, definitely a clear distinction. I mean,
maybe if you still got your bridge, you don't need your boat.
Yeah,
you can still get back.
I don't want to mix metaphors here, but it's a good point you make. I mean, yes, be clear in what you want to do in your life. If you're not happy in your current career and there's another career out there for you, then crack on. But we talk about the book and doing it in a controlled manner, as opposed to just going out there saying, thank you very much, I'll see you all later, thanks for nothing, I'm off, I'm going to be a millionaire in a year, and then you come back all humble pie with your cap in your hand. So it's just making sure that you're respectful of the situation that's got you to here. It doesn't mean you need to be disrespectful.
I suppose
moving forward.
you can put things in place that mean you have effectively burned your boats, but you still maintain great relationships where you used to work. You can make a real commitment. You can move to where you need to be for your business or for your passion or whatever you're following. You can change the way you do things. There's big statements that you can make that sort of internalize that commitment, whereas you don't actually have to just be like you say, screw you to your bosses.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some great case studies of perseverance and determination within that chapter. We talk about Alexander the Great. We've mentioned him already. Abraham Lincoln, that guy really went through some struggles in his life, and then look where he ended up. And of course, our very own Royal Marine Mark Ormrod, who was a triple amputee whilst fighting in Afghanistan, and his amazing story about how he just kept going, and now he's competing in the Invictus Games. He was at Prince Harry's wedding during the summer. So
and he's doing a lot of work for the Royal Marines charity and things like that. And and I suppose that's the point there around one big life event, which is massive and needs a lot of ability to overcome it. And actually, no matter everything else he's done, but the fact to actually get back to a point where he's walking, when they said he wouldn't, is massive. So it's that versus the small things that you might be going through every day, and they're both equally as hard to overcome. But actually, you can overcome both of them if you've got the determination and perseverance, and if why you're doing what you're doing is strong enough. Yeah,
because Mark is a Royal Marine through and through, and that's why he's still there, inspiring and helping new recruits and helping other people within the organisation. So it's a great case study. We're really proud of that one. Patience, Mo.
Yeah.
Patience. So I'm naturally not necessarily the most patient of people. I want it all. I want it all now, but I'm also aware that Rome wasn't built in a day. But look how long it survived for. So can you tell us about the importance of patience?
It's so hard when you want to achieve something. It's so hard to be patient, but it's so important because, like you said, nothing that is really worth having happens quickly or comes quickly. And also, it can be, leading back to the last podcast we did, the compounding of the learnings that you get. You have to be in something for a long time because you have to have experienced different things and take the learnings from it to grow. But it's so important. It's a constant thing because you've got this desire and this passion to achieve something really big, but then that you're going to have to be in it for a long time for it to really show. And it's a struggle, but it's really, really important. Patience.
It is important. I personally struggle when, let's say, some people that I work with, they don't necessarily work the same kind of hours I do. I'm working all through the night and blah, blah, blah. So it's very important to just temper yourself sometimes. You may have great work ethic and you may work 24 hours a day, but other people don't.
But also internally, I think the way so that's with other people, but then there's also the way you communicate internally as well, and how much you beat yourself up, not you, but how we beat ourselves up. Because you do have to have that patience that, things are going to come. But
well, it's funny, Mo, that's a very clever little mention of our communication chapter, because we talk about communication, both your internal and external dialogue, and it's so important. We've dedicated a whole chapter to it because that's one of the top 10 key traits of success, we believe, is effectively communicating.
And I think the other thing with patience is that if you are grateful for what you've got and where you are at the minute, and also have perspective on how far you've come and what you have got, then that helps you be more patient, which then helps you take decisions or make decisions that are more long-term. Yeah. If you're not patient, you're going to be taking very short-term decisions, trying to cash in now or whatever. But actually to think more long-term, if you can be grateful for what you've got now, you can then... I'm going to use a money example because it's an easy example. You can apply it to other things. You can then just reinvest that. And whether that's time or investing money, if you reinvest it for the long term, you're going to be better off.
Yeah.
But you have to actually be grateful for where you are at the time, which is hard because on the one hand, aspiration is like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. On the other hand, patience is like, it's going to take ages. And it's how do you reconcile them?
And gratitude, you're at this point where you look back and you think, I've done okay. And then you've got aspirations, like you say, it's like the polar opposites. And it's just finding that middle ground.
Yeah.
Just very quickly, Mal, I just want to mention the creative hurricane.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of this more than anyone, where effectively you're steaming forward. You are this great hurricane force where you're moving forward and you're driving forward your businesses and everything's going really well and whatever else. But sometimes it's best just to stop, take a day or so out, look up, outside, in the eye of the hurricane, in the calm part, look backwards at where you've come from and all the things that you've learned, and just show a bit of gratitude, because then it will allow you to at least take stock of where you've come from and where you're going, and then it just makes things a lot easier for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. It's very, very easy to just keep going, but actually you do need to take some time out and look back and see how far you've come, because... And I think we talk about this in the book, the just looking back at to what happened 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Where were you 10 years ago? I was, still at uni or whatever, and just started second year. But you realise that actually 10 years, you've done a lot in 10 years, but actually it doesn't feel like, it doesn't feel like it's been 10 years, and B, it doesn't feel like you've done a lot. I quite like going back, looking through old pictures.
Yeah.
Because then you've actually captured what you were doing at those times. It's really interesting.
Indeed. And then you think to yourself, what can I achieve in the next 10 years? And so we raised some interesting questions for the reader in the book. So we want to know your thoughts on this topic. Are you a patient person, or do you want it all now?
Are you a patient person?
I'm learning to temper it slightly. What about you, Mo? Are you a patient person?
I guess I am quite patient.
Yeah?
No, I don't know. Am I? You tell me.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I think you're about a 6 or a 7.
What, 10 being patient or not patient?
10 being very impatient.
Oh, okay.
And 1 being...
And what are you?
I'm probably 8 or 9. No. Yeah. Impatient.
I think it depends. I think one of the things is going back to the learning from what you do. I like speed because speed means that you can learn from it. And a lot of time we sit around pondering things, and then 6 months... nearly. And then 6 months down the line, you're not really any closer to where you were. Whereas if you'd actually just done it, obviously taking calculated risks, you would have got the learning, and then you can move on and you can grow and things like that. So that's probably the bit where I'm impatient. I just want to just taste everything and just get going and find out if it works or not, because I think that's the only way you really know. You can strategize and hypothesize as much as you want.
But also one thing, you haven't paid me to say this, but one thing about you, Mo, is that you are very efficient with your time. So
thanks, mate.
Yeah, you are good
I just don't sleep. When my train's delayed and I have to get up for the thing. I did actually cancel PT this morning. That's really bad, isn't it? After talking about accountability on yesterday's podcast release. But I am going tomorrow.
Okay, well, that's good, Mo, because you are piling on the pounds. Anyway, and just for
thank you. It's very kind of you to say.
So we actually want to know your thoughts on this topic this time. Are you a patient person, or do you want it all now?
Maybe people could rate themselves 1 to 10.
Yeah, so
10 being
very impatient, you want it all now, and 1 being the most chilled out, sloth,
laid back. Yeah. Okay, so let us know on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, via email at
hello@yoursuccesspodcast.com.
I'm going to do my bit, and Angus is just going to cut me off now and get his own back.
So thank you for listening to Your Success Podcast. Please click subscribe, leave us a review, and we look forward to your comments on our Facebook and YouTube channels. And don't forget to subscribe to our book launch at tiny.cc/yourbook.
Yeah, and we'll put the link in the comments as well on the post.
We really hope that you guys will support us and buy the book on the 24th September on Amazon, because we think it's an absolutely great book which will really help you
100%.
find your vision and your why to become successful.
It's amazing. Like, we've read it and reread it and proofread it so many times now, but I'm actually still like really proud of it and what's in there. So hopefully it'll be well received.
The people will judge. The people will judge. So I've been Angelos.
And I've been Mo.
And see you again on the next exciting episode of Your Success Podcast.
You have been listening to Your Success Podcast. Click subscribe for more incredible content. More details can be found at www.yoursuccesspodcast.com.